Well, good morning, everyone, and happy 2017. This is Melissa Chambers, and I'm so happy that you're spending a little of your Saturday morning with me. I think this is going to be a fun way to kick off the year. One of my favorite topics, we're going to talk about personal development. And I think this is a very appropriate time, right? At the beginning of the year, a lot of us tend to kind of reflect on what we accomplished the year before, what went well, maybe what didn't go so well, what we wish we had accomplished. Sometimes we kind of analyze, well, why didn't we accomplish what we wanted to? And then we set plans for the year ahead. And I know a lot of you are already doing a great job with goal setting and setting up meetings and working with your downlines, working with your teams to get clear on what you want to accomplish in 2017. And so we thought that this would be a wonderful way to spend our Saturday mornings for the next 8 weeks, sort of going over this topic. What I'm going to do this morning is really just sort of set a framework and sort of maybe some definitions about what we'll be looking at. And then I've got some great guest speakers and folks coming in on the other calls as well. We'll do some interviews. We'll have other presenters. And keep exploring what personal development is, how it applies to us, obviously individually, but how it applies to our businesses, what we want to accomplish in life. And so if it's okay with you, let's dive right in. So one of the things that I think is interesting to look at is this Maslow hierarchy of needs. This is probably something a lot of you have seen before. Of course, Abraham Harold Maslow, he was a fairly contemporary American psychologist, born in the early 1900s, died in 1970. And he's really best known for this hierarchy of needs. And it really was sort of his theory of psychological health that is predicated on just fulfilling some of our basic, just innate human needs. And if you look at the bottom of this pyramid, the physiological needs are sort of our most base needs, right? Food, water, oxygen, shelter, sleep. And if we build upon that, then safety is our next priority of needs, feeling safe from potentially dangerous physical or psychological situations, right? You know, we think of just even children, right? The basic needs, food, water, good health, safety, keeping them from harm. And then as we grow and we mature a little bit more, there becomes the need for belonging, for love, feeling part of a group, part of a family, part of a social structure. This also is when we really start learning about giving and receiving. That's not only in trust, but in affection and love and acceptance and feeling that part of, and helping be of service to others also sort of gets its basic beginnings here at this level, at this hierarchy. And as we continue to grow, we have esteem needs, right? Feeling competent, having a self-confidence, a feeling of self-esteem and of self-respect. And also we start really realizing how important it is that we want the respect of others. And maybe that may be our peers at school and our peers at work, having respect in a family and social structure. And that leads us to our cognitive needs. So really we start looking into ourselves and trying to explain and also understand the world, the desire for knowledge and clarity to really understand the world around us, our part in it, our meaning in it. And it also leads then to an aesthetic need, which is kind of an interesting need. It's needing the beauty and the aesthetics of nature and our surroundings. Sometimes we just need beautiful imagery or something new that's aesthetically pleasing to inspire us. Right? We need to refresh ourselves in maybe a nice walk in the woods, or sometimes a lot of us will go to the beach. And it's a absorbing that around us and relaxing us and feeling our part in the world. Really sort of an interesting need. And then that leads to self-actualization, sort of reaching our full potential, becoming everything that we're capable of being. And this is where typically we think about personal development, is at this top of this hierarchy. And you know what I find interesting is really nowhere in Maslow's publications, in his own writings, did he actually use a graphic. But as we, I guess, started putting this into textbooks, I love that they put this hierarchy of needs in a pyramid, which is so perfect for network marketing. So see, we're right on track here with our hierarchy and being part of a wonderful, growing pyramid of strength and personal development. So I just think I have to just laugh at that as I look at it. But it's a great way to sort of look at our structure. Now, people have argued absolutely that maybe it's not exactly in this order, and that oftentimes some of these hierarchies are happening at the same time, or being accomplished at the same time, or being fulfilled in different orders. And that's really okay. It's also sort of been accused of maybe being more of a Western ideology, Western values. But one thing is, as I was sort of researching this, that I had forgotten, is that there was a huge research study done. This is about 2005 to 2010. It was a 5-year period. And they collected data from almost 61,000 participants in over 123 countries. And what it basically proved out is that Maslow was essentially right in that these universal human needs exist regardless of culture. And what I also found interesting is that people do tend to achieve these needs in different orders, but that they all are strongly part of what influences our ideas of well-being. And that regardless of the order, we derive happiness from simultaneously working on a number of these needs at the same time, regardless of whether they're each fulfilled. We want to absolutely be striving for these needs. And what proved out is, you may have people in the most impoverished nations with very modest control over whether their most basic needs are fulfilled, and yet nevertheless they can find quite a measure of well-being through their social relationships and other psychological needs. And I know either you've personally experienced this or you've heard stories after stories of, wow, I was in this just impoverished country, or with this group of people that seem to have nothing that we think of materially, but they were so happy. They seemed so fulfilled, so filled with joy. Well, it's part of this idea of this hierarchy of needs that we can fill with ourselves through a walk in the woods, through beautiful nature, through building our self-respect, our self-esteem, and maybe at this time someone doesn't feel part of a family or feel part of a social group, but they've got other needs that are met. There's always things that are in balance and in flux. And so I sort of wanted to start with this because we all are approaching this at so many different angles and different paths, right? Well, we have tens of thousands of wonderful NuCerity family members all around the globe. And probably each one of us is approaching this slightly different, with different needs that are met, different needs that we're absolutely struggling to obtain, right? But all of this leads to personal development. In the 70s and 80s, everything came out about self-help books, self-improvement, self-actualization, books, seminars, and then started getting termed more personal growth, personal development. Really doesn't matter what you call it, we're always, and all of us, in search of trying to understand and grow and achieve happiness and fulfillment, to have our needs met. And NuCerity and the businesses that you're building obviously meet some of these needs. You know, think of how many people talk about the feeling of belonging to something, right? That family, a social structure. You know, that's one of the basic needs that you and your businesses help satisfy. Not only then, you know, understanding and knowledge and cognitive challenges and cognitive needs. So again, I just sort of bring this up because what you do and what you're building and what you're striving for, oh my gosh, it is so incredibly important on so many levels. And so I hope you sort of appreciate, we talked about a lot the gift that's in your hand, not only for what it can do for your life, on your goal to personal development, but so many others. And so let's dig into personal development a little bit more. Now here's one definition. It's a lifelong process. It's a way for people to assess their skills and qualities, consider their aims in life, and set goals in order to realize and maximize their potential. All right? How about this one? Personal development is the conscious pursuit of personal growth by expanding self-awareness and knowledge and improving personal skills. That sounds pretty basic, right? How about one more? Personal development covers activities that improve awareness and identity, develop talents and potential, build human capital, and facilitate employability. This one made me laugh because I thought, we don't want to be employees, we're employers. But enhance the quality of life and contribute to the realization of dreams and aspirations. Personal development takes place over the course of a person's entire life. So regardless of the definition, you see similarities for sure. Talk about skills and qualities and self-awareness and potential, right? That's what personal development is. To me, it's being self-realized as a human being, right? It means living consciously at my full potential and reaching real happiness in my life. So regardless of your definition, right, you're looking at mental, physical, emotional, social, and financial life that you are trying to bring the best out of and help others develop the best in them as well. So let's look at how it applies specifically to network marketing, right? Because as much as I love talking about this topic, and it's so powerful in our lives, we also aren't people's therapists, right? We do have to always bring it back to network marketing. And so let's look at network marketing and personal development. What I love is network marketing at its core, at its very core, is a profession that really is an incubator for personal growth. Because look at it, you learn how to face your fears, a huge part of personal development. You learn how to solve problems, right? Get creative, think outside the box. You learn how to feed your mind with positives and, importantly, protect your mind from negatives. That's absolutely something that's required to be successful in network marketing. There's so many, right, dream stealers out there. There's so many people that can tell you, this won't work, or you can't do it, or, well, you've not succeeded before, or, oh my gosh, the things that people can say are amazing and hurtful and can stop us in our tracks. But as we develop personally and through network marketing as well, we all learn how to grow stronger and to be more resilient. And another wonderful personal development that ties into network marketing is you learn how to lead. Right? We talk a lot about linking arms and helping others. We absolutely know that our success depends upon the success of others, right? We can't get to where we want to go unless we're helping other people, we're lifting other people up to get where they want to go. And so how can we possibly help others, though, if we're not playing at our A game, if we're not bringing our best to the table, right? If we're not visionaries, but instead slog around in the ordinary, right? We're not going to get to where we want to go. And most importantly, we're not going to help others. So personal development to me, and why it's such an important topic to discuss and to contemplate and to work on all the time, is that it is a truly win-win-win-win scenario for yourself, for your team, for your families, for your community, for the world at large. And it absolutely is true that the greatest benefit from building your NuCerity business isn't getting what you want. Whatever those goals are that you set out for 2017, the greatest benefit is what you will need to become in order to get what you want. Think about that. I mean, the journey is everything. It absolutely is. I mean, to become that wonderful silver leader, to move into golds and platinums, to hit ruby, and have the self-satisfaction of what you've accomplished, that you've put new disciplines in place, disciplines of thought, disciplines of action, building that self-confidence, building that belief. What you've had to become in order to get to that point is priceless, absolutely priceless. So, you know what, let's also look at what personal development is not. It is not a religion or dogma. There's not a way it has to be done. There's not a set of rules that you absolutely have to follow. It is not a this way or the highway type of a process. It's also not a status to hold over other people, right? It's so funny, you know, you can hear people talk about, well, you know, my personal development path, or I've been working on this for so long, or my self-actualization is probably further along than yours, right? We're all on this on our own paths, and thank goodness we're all on our own paths, because one size does not fit all, right? We all have had different life experiences, different nurturing or lack of nurturing as we're growing up, right? Lots of different experiences. So there's no way, if we're talking about the peak of Maslow's hierarchy, self-actualization, self-development, that one size could fit all, or that we all have to do it the same way or at the same time. And what's incredible, too, is personal development, it doesn't have an expiration date. It's not, oh, I'm so sorry, Sally, you didn't get it by age 30, you're doomed. That's it, right? Or Melissa, wow, are you ever a late bloomer? I can't believe you didn't have some of this figured out by, you know, 40, and so, wow, you're just never going to get it. Isn't it beautiful that there's not an expiration date on this? There's people that I've met that are 15 that I think, oh my gosh, what an old soul. What a incredibly intuitive, self-reflective, self-aware person. And there's people that I know that are 70s that I think, wow, are you still ever slogging around in, you know, self-pity and the blame game, right? Can't all of you think of, you know, people that you know too that they're all on their own path. And all we know is that we can wish them well and love them on that path and know there's no expiration date. They get to keep doing this and keep learning and keep growing. How awesome is that? And that our personal development is not dependent, nor is it limited by those around you. Now, it certainly sometimes can seem to be more difficult by those that are around you, right? You know that saying that we're the sum of the 5 people that we hang around the most, right? That sometimes that can affect us, influence us. But the reality is that our personal development is not dependent or limited by those that are around you. And here's another thing. Personal development is not the work. Personal development is learning. It's learning new tools. It's accepting. But you still have to do the work. You have to put it into practice. You have to stay vigilant on maybe mapping new thoughts, right? You have to actually put it into action. And here's the thing, the results of personal development, you guys know this, it's seen, it's felt, it's displayed in the quality of someone's relationships, in the level of their commitment, their loyalty, their ease of communication, the flow of creative ideas. You absolutely know that somebody's doing the work. They don't need to tell you. They don't need to, hold it over someone's head. They don't need to preach it. They need to live it. And when they live it, it is apparent in the state of their joy, in the abundance in which they're living and sharing and helping bring other people along, right? So that is, to me, another wonderful thing about personal development. So something that I'd like to challenge you with or have you think about is really there's sort of two basic motivations to improve yourself. It either comes from inspiration and you really are looking to get better than you already are, right? Maybe you already sort of have or have always been someone who questions, wonders about their place in the world, how they can improve, what their what their better self could be. But oftentimes our motivation for personal development comes out of desperation. It comes out because something unpleasant has happened in our lives. Something's challenging us. We don't want to stay where we are. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That it's a desperation that's like motivates us to delve into this. And you know what? Either motivation is fine. But I'd ask you to give a little thought of what's your motivation for personal development. What's your motivation for listening this morning and thinking, you know what, I'd like to explore this a little bit. I'd like to maybe give more time during my day, during my week, during my month, during this year towards my personal development. And if it is coming out of inspiration, cool, fantastic. Challenge yourself as well to remember those moments of desperation. What moved the needle, right? What has gotten you to this place? And if you're instead feeling that, oh man, I'm in that moment right now of desperation, just know we've all been there. And that is usually one of the largest motivators that does get people moving forward, is those feelings of desperation. And you may have lots of people on your team, in your downline, that are sort of in this period of desperation. They're looking for something new. They're looking for financial help. They're looking for a lifeline to feel important, to have significance, to be able to pay bills, to be able to spend time with family rather than being, away for a job. Whatever those scenarios are, right? Being able to spend a little time looking at your skills, your weaknesses, your strengths is what's going to help them get to the next place, to keep moving forward, right? We can talk a lot about our 4 income producing activities, right? You've got to make your list. You've got to invite and intrigue. We want to present, tell your stories, and then we want to follow up. We want to enroll. We want to find out what their needs are and make sure that we're satisfying those, right? We can spend a lot of time on those 4 income producing activities, but that's what's affecting your check, right? That's what brings your commission payments into your account. But the secret sauce as well, we talk a lot about this in our success formula, belief plus skills plus action equal results, but commitment is what really brings success. Well, that commitment comes out of being confident, having a certain degree of personal development that gives you that stick-to-itiveness, right, that gets you out of the desperation mode and instead realizes, you know what, I can do this. I absolutely can. So what happens is we often assume that personal development is something that we do in order to get success. And as a result, that personal development, it gets totally compartmentalized as a task. It becomes something that we do just sort of off the clock when we can fit it into our to-do list, right? And we do it in our spare time just in order to get ahead, right, in sort of this real world. And I challenge you to sort of think of it, flip that a little bit on its head, and instead personal development is what we are. We're constantly in a state of personal development. It's the reason we're born, is to become the best human beings that we possibly can. If we go back again to Maslow's hierarchy, it's the natural effect of having our needs met and of growing through life. So if we decide, boy, I really want to make a lot of money. I really want to have a successful business. And, well, okay, Melissa said throw a little bit of that personal development stuff in there too, right? I'll do some personal development. It's a task. It's so easy to put off, to procrastinate. But if instead we really think of that this is who we are, we're always in a state of personal development, and that it's a priority. It's something that's a daily priority. And you know what? And then our network marketing business, our beautiful NuCerity business, is a vehicle for expressing that. Wouldn't that be a nice priority? Wouldn't that kind of maybe help balance our personal lives, our juggling act of professional, personal, have it all, be it all, is to think, we are always in a state of personal development. And we get to express that, and we get to express it to our teammates, and we get to express it to our prospects and to our customers through this incredible gift of NuCerity. Yeah, I like that. That makes my hair stand on end. I got goosebumps, because that truly, truly brings meaning to our lives in a much larger scale, as we also bring meaning to people's lives and significance to people's lives through this incredible, incredible vehicle called NuCerity, right? So let's look a little bit at the path that we're going to be exploring over the next 8 weeks. Acceptance, right? We've got to see your life how it really is, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, the warts, all of it. First step in personal development really is acceptance. Then we also have to embrace that we're 100% responsible for what we experience in life. I know we had the amazing Jack Canfield come and share with us in San Diego, and a lot of us have read the Success Principles. And if you haven't, highly encourage you to get that book. And his first chapter is all about 100% responsibility for what we experience in our life, and again, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so when we believe that, when we truly embrace that, it absolutely changes the trajectory of our life. It changes how we respond to what happens in our lives, and it leads us to being willing to change and to progress. You have to have that willingness. Right? We can talk about personal development all day long, but if someone's just really hanging on desperately to the way they've always done something and not willing to change, not willing to progress, you're just going to be beating your head against the wall, right? That may unfortunately mean there's got to be some event that creates that desperation, that's the motivation to then change and progress. We also have to decide what you want, right? Which leads us to goal setting. And when that happens, then we're going to talk about really leaning into it, really embracing, really going full throttle and releasing the brakes. And we'll be delving into that. And it's taking action. And we're going to look at that a little bit differently. Now, here's another thing, is we also have to experience the fear and continue to take action. And when we kind of combine this all together, there's a wonderful phenomenon of personal empowerment that takes place, right? And that's all part of this journey. And I like to sort of think of personal empowerment. It's, you know, it can be synonymous with personal development, but I see it specifically as really developing the confidence and the strength to set the goals and fulfill your potential, right? It takes everything, the bullets of before this, right? Acceptance, 100% responsibility, deciding what you want, and then really having and not losing that power to get and achieve what you want and be able to also fearlessly pass that on to others, share that with others. You know, you've heard this saying before that change is inevitable, but progress is not. And so it does take a path. It does take building a hierarchy. And we're going to explore lots of fun, different ways that people have laid out different hierarchies. Because like I said earlier, there is no dogma. There's no absolute right and wrong. It's all about self-exploration, self-journey. So this is one of my favorite quotes by the wonderful Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I'll let that settle in with you just a little bit. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Right? The people who say, oh, I never get a break. My friend Susan is so lucky. Well, you just have better upline than I do. You know, my downline just won't do what I tell them to do. Reminds me of one of my favorite country western songs, standing knee-deep in a river and dying of thirst. Right? We've got to bring the unconscious forward, be clear, right? Accept what is ours, what's not ours. And so we're not at the whim of what someone might call fate. Instead, we're living self-directed lives. So we're getting close to the close of this particular seminar, right? Setting up the high level of what we're going to be exploring. But I've got a little bit of homework for you. Right? That first step in our path was about acceptance, really connecting with your truth, right? Because it's going to lay the most important foundation for your personal growth, is really looking at what are your old tapes, right? What are the lies that you tell yourself about you? Oh, well, I'm lazy. I'm just not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have enough education. I'm not funny enough. I'm not social enough, right? What are the lies that you tell yourself about you? I loved this quote from Anthony Robbins. What's your favorite flavor of suffering? Right? We all have something that we fall back on when we want to throw ourselves a pity party. Can you identify it? Right? Call it out. See if you can accept it and write it down. What negative habits do you fall back into? Right? Is it Facebook? Is it watching too much TV? Is it gossip? Is it being a mean girl? Is it just totally being paralyzed by fear? Right? What are the habits you fall back into? But also, what are your strengths? Right? What are the things that you're proud of, that you know you do well? What are the things that you're like, I really could improve on these? These are some of the things I think are my weaknesses. Think about when was one of the hardest times in your life, and how did you get through it? What were those skills that you really dug deep, right, to get yourself through a hard time in your life? It's going to tell you a lot about your strengths. Are you a blamer and a complainer? Right? If so, own it. Absolutely. Absolutely own it. And all that means is that there's fear. Right? I don't want to look at something. I don't want to take that 100% responsibility for it. And so it's a whole lot easier to say, well, Tish, if she had just told me about that last week, I would have, I'd already be silver. If she had just done a better job at my mentor meeting, I would have gotten this better. Rather than saying, wow, I haven't picked up the phone all week and called anybody. It's okay. We all fall into it. But I challenge you, write it down. How much do you think you fall into the blame and complain game? All right? You don't have to share your notes with anybody, only if you want to. This is for you, right? This is laying down that foundation that we're going to keep playing with and exploring over the next few weeks. How often do you let fear keep you from taking action? Right? Now, this doesn't necessarily just have to be your NuCerity business. Right? Personal development affects all areas of our life. Right? Maybe it's fear of calling somebody you want to go on a date with. Maybe it's fear of having that honest conversation with a spouse or with your children. Maybe it is just, fear of picking up the phone. I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I also may be fearful that, I'll be really good at this, and then I have to raise my expectations of myself, right? Fear of success. But how often do you let fear keep you from taking action? And then also really give some time thinking about what gives you the most joy. What is it that you're doing when you feel confident? What is it that you're doing when you feel strong, when you feel alive? Right? Give that some thought, because it's also going to tell you a lot about how you want to move forward, right? What you want to do, where you want to focus your time and your energy. Acceptance is about stop rationalizing things that you are truly unhappy about and that you tell yourself are okay, and instead tell yourself the truth, right? Again, really connecting to this truth is going to help set this foundation. And here's the beautiful thing. Don't get freaked out that, oh man, I've got to fix all this at one time. Melissa, oh my gosh, it wasn't just I wrote 4 bullet points. I filled, 7 pages of an 8.5 by 11 binder, right? So this is cool. Take an assessment of yourself. Accept it. All of this doesn't get fixed at one time. This is a journey, and what's wonderful too is sometimes when you sort of improve in one area, oh man, then you get to go back and just sort of tick off this also was improved by that feeling of self-confidence. These other things also are taken off your list because they were wrapped into that fear. Or, oh wow, this also, I get to mark these things off my list because I realized they were all part of this stupid old tape that I told myself, right? This is what starts your personal development journey. And I know some of you have been working on this for years, some of you for months, for weeks, since the day you were born, right? We're all on such different levels of this journey. But here's the wonderful thing. We can always keep getting better, and the more aware we are, the better we're able to help others, regardless of where they are on their journey. So this is about love. This is about compassion. This is about empathy. First and foremost for ourselves, and then also for the world around us, for our teammates, for our fellow diamonds, for our fellow rubies, for our business partners in another country, for corporate, for everyone, right? We talk about love, respect, and partnership. Well, that's personal development. That's part of the journey. And so what I'd like to close, and I hope you do your homework, is just think, if we did all the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. We would be over the top, with joy and excitement and sharing that with others and changing the world. And we can. We absolutely can. And so we're going to have a lot of fun digging into this, building from that foundation of acceptance and taking a good inventory of where you are and what you'd like to change so that we can make 2017 the most meaningful, significant, successful experience that you have ever dreamed of and lived, because we absolutely can. And what's most important is that together we absolutely can. Right? We are social beings. We are social animals. We need the support, encouragement, teamwork, challenge of doing this with other people. And so your NuCerity family is the perfect safe group, safety net to go on this personal development journey. It's a win-win-win all the way around, right? And so I'm excited to explore this with you. I'm excited to be business partners with you and friends with you. And so let this sort of stew in your mind over the weekend. Do your homework. Do your self-assessment. And I can't wait to jump into the next step next Saturday. Get your teams on the call. Until then, have an amazing weekend, an amazing week ahead. In love, respect, and partnership, you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.